Alright, hello Year 12. Today you're going to do your poke bowl recipe. This one here. So it's up to you what protein you use. First thing I'm going to do is get on my rice, and I'm going to use a rice cooker. So to use your rice cooker, you are going to have a choice of what kind of rice. I'm using sushi rice today, and I'm just going to use a cup worth of it. So just the sushi rice, but you can use brown rice if you want to, or you can use short grain rice. It's up to you what type of rice you like to use. But I'm going to do this in the rice cooker just so it can cook while I'm doing other stuff. I do a little bit extra just so I have plenty. So in this, you are going to fill it with water. When you fill it, you'll see that line on your finger, you're going to stop to there. So you put your finger on top of the rice, and that's where you know the water goes to. So remember, that's your line there, and that's how high your water needs to be. So if it's not going there, mine's only halfway up, add a little bit more water. Check it again on a flat surface. If you're there, great. Make sure your bottom of your rice cooker is all dry, and then you can put it in. You can season your rice with a little bit of salt. So I'm going to put in a pinch of sea salt just before it cooks. So now that's in the rice cooker, and it will take about 20 minutes to cook. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do in the prep wise while that's cooking is I'm going to do my chicken. Now, as I said to you, you've got the option of doing chicken or fish. So I've bought both. So I bought a piece of salmon and I bought some chicken. So I'm going to just use one piece of the chicken breast, and then obviously put the rest away for another day. So if you're feeding more than one person, you can cook more than one chicken breast. Now this is a really big chicken breast, so I'm going to cut it through the middle. So putting my hand there flat, making sure it doesn't move. Alright, so that way it's nice and even and going to cook evenly. Then I'm going to cut it into strips and marinate it before I cook it. Once it cooks, then I'm going to dice it and then put it on my poke bowl. Okay, I'm just going to go wash all that stuff up. Alright, I've cleaned my board up and washed my knife, and now I'm going to marinate my chicken. So it's all in a bowl ready to go. Now if you don't want to add all these ingredients, you don't have to, but you want to marinate it and get a bit of flavour onto it. So 2 tablespoons of soy. If you like it salty, add a little bit more. 1 tablespoon of sesame seed oil. That has a beautiful smell. 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. And just 1 teaspoon of honey. Just going to give a little squeeze. Now you are just going to toss that together, and then you're going to cook it in your fry pan on a medium heat until it's all cooked. So you can marinate it for a few minutes and do some other prep if you want your chicken nice and hot when you cook. And when you cook your egg, you can do both at the same time. So there's that marinade. Alright, so I'm going to heat up my fry pan here, and I'm going to do my chickpeas. And after my chickpeas are done, then I'm going to do my chicken. That way I just use the one pan. I've got a fry pan here to do my saucepan, sorry, to do my egg a bit later. And I filled it halfway with water, and I've just got to add a tablespoon of vinegar. Now remember, that's got to just simmer. So you can put that on low. So in this fry pan here, once it's started to warm up, you are going to throw in your drained chickpeas. So make sure you drain them. And you're going to toast them with a bit of the paprika. So you just need to get a teaspoon or two. I think the recipe says a table. And you're going to toss that all around. Using a wooden spoon, you're just going to stir it around and make sure it's all cooked. And you just want them to toast a little bit. So while you're toasting, you could be washing up or doing some of your other prep. And you see the skins are just coming off them. And you're just toasting it until you get all that stuff starts to come off. Alright, so I've toasted it for about 3 minutes. They are nice and warm in the middle. And now I'm just going to put them in my bowl. I'm not washing my pan in between because I think the flavours will work. Now remember, there's already that sesame seed oil on this marinade, so I'm not adding any oil to the pan. Now you can see how I've laid it out in the pan that they're not touching. That way they're all going to seal evenly and they're going to get nice colour on them. Once they're cooked most of the way, I'm going to throw the last of that marinade in just to coat it, but I don't want to do it now, I want to do it at the end. I'm just going to throw the last of that in. I can wash the bowl and put it back in this bowl in a minute after I've washed it. Don't put it back in your raw chicken bowl. Make sure you wash this first if you're going to use the same bowl. You got to keep an eye on it now because that soy sauce that I just threw in, that sauce, it's going to burn. So please don't walk away and leave it. as I don't want you having to scrub your pan later. You can see I'm just moving the chicken around so they all get covered, and they're all going to be nice and warm, coated. So I've had my fry pan on high. I'm going to turn it down now so the bottom of the pan doesn't burn, and it just cooks in the middle. If you're worried, you can add a little bit of water, just so it turns into a little sauce. So that water you have here for your eggs, you can put in the pan. Alright, so remember to check your chicken. If it's really spongy, it might need a few more minutes. If it's firm, it's going to be done. So think of the smaller, thinner pieces, they're going to be done a lot quicker than your fatter pieces. Alright, I'm going to take it out in a minute, and then that part of the cooking of chicken will be done, and then I'll dice it up just before we serve. Alright, so while my chicken is just finishing off in the pan, I'm going to also do a piece of salmon. As I said, I bought some, and it's going to have the same marinade, but I'm going to dice it up now and marinate it. Now if you don't buy salmon, if you don't like it, you don't want to buy it, you don't have to. So I'm just going to put it in dice. That little bit here of the fat, I'm just going to trim off, and then slice it and dice it. So about 1 centimetre. The same marinade as the chicken, the soy sauce, two tablespoons, your 1 tablespoon of sesame seed oil, vinegar, and then a bit of honey. And then toss it around and leave it until you're ready to use it. I'm just going to wash up my board again. Alright, so you can see the salmon's prepped, the chicken's cooked, my chickpeas are done, my rice just popped, so now I'm going to do my vegetable prep. So I'm just going to use a cucumber, just cutting it in half. I just gave it a wash, putting the flat side down, and then I'm going to give it a slice. Now you can dice it, slice it, that's up to you. But try and make sure they're the same size. Now I don't think I'll need all of it, like a whole one, so I'll just put the rest away for later. Alright, I'll also need some carrot, so you're going to have to peel it. Now with this carrot, you can choose to peel it and do nice thin bits. When you do this, push down hard so they're thick and turn your carrot every time. Or you can julienne your carrot so if you want nice thin buttons. But you want to make sure they're thin, not too fat. So I've got some carrot there. And then my last vegetables, I've got some baby spinach, so you can give that a little wash. So I'll give that a wash just before we use it. And an avocado. Well, let's hope it's a nice ripe one. Beautiful. Alright, so now the next step is to poach my egg. I'm just going to put this aside for a second. So when you poach your egg, the prep stuff you need to have ready, if you remember from year 11, you need some paper towel, you'll need a slotted spoon, and you need to crack your egg into a bowl first before you put it into the saucepan. Okay, so my saucepan has been simmering and I've put a bit of vinegar in, so now let's go cook it over there. So I've got my saucepan on and I've got little bubbles happening in it, and I've added my vinegar to it. Make sure it's on a low, because you don't want it to have big bubbles. So if you've got big flames, turn it down. Now using your spoon, give your fry pan a little swirl around, your saucepan, sorry. So it has like a little whirlpool thing happening in the middle. While that's happening, now you're going to take your bowl where your egg is and you're going to gently drop it in there, and it should continue to go around and around in a circle. Now if you're not getting any bubbles on the bottom, you can turn it up a little bit. Now it will take a couple of minutes to cook. After half a minute, you're going to use your slotted spoon and you're going to pick it up from the bottom because you don't want it getting stuck. And then you can give it another little swirl around. Just you don't want to pick it up too early because you don't want to crack anything. Alright, so I've just lifted mine off the bottom and it just moved. And now I'm just moving the water around it so it goes around. Remember, you only want it to simmer, so if you're starting to get big bubbles, just turn it down. Now I've just lifted underneath again, make sure it's all cooking and it's not stuck on anything, and I will lift it out in half a minute. Alright, it's been cooking for just under 3. I'm going to turn it off. Use my slotted spoon, lift it up. Let it drip here in my spoon for a minute, or half a second. And then I'm going to put it on my paper towel. When I'm ready to put it on my poke bowl, then I'll show you the next. Alright, my rice has just popped, but what I'm going to do is mix my sushi rice with some brown rice. So I just am cheating with the brown rice and I bought the microwave one. So I'm just going to cook it in the pouch and then it'll be, I'll mix it all together. Alright, my rice has been cooking for 90 seconds. Hopefully it's nice and cooked. I'm just going to cook it, toss it through there. Mix it all together. Now if you don't want to use rice and you'd rather use a quinoa, you're welcome to. So it's up to you what kind of carbohydrate you want on the bottom. Alright, so all my prep is done. Just last thing I'm going to do is now chop up the chicken and present. So let's put it all together. So I'm going to do a salmon one and a chicken one. black chia seeds, and I've got some sesame seeds. So what I'm going to do, put a little bit on a plate so I don't make a mess everywhere. I have a talent of that. And using my spoon, I'm just going to take that bit of avo off. I'm going to dip it just half in there. Okay, so you've got some Japanese mayo you can put over the top. Now if you'd like to season the Japanese mayo with some spices, you can, but I like it just with the Japanese mayo, so it's up to you how spicy you want it. I forgot chickpeas. And then poached egg over the top. A bit of mayo. So there is my salmon one, and now I'm going to do a chicken one. I'm just going to chop up some of the chicken on my board. Try and make it bite-sized because people don't generally use a knife with a dish like this. And I've also, as I said, I've got sesame seeds. I'm just going to put a little bit of that on the plate. The other avo. Alright, and then I'm just going to quickly poach another egg for on top of that one. Alright, so I just poached another egg just to put on top. And one thing I had on the recipe card is optional. So I've got some pickled red onion here. So if you have any pickled veggies that you might want to use in it, just to give it a bit different texture and flavour, you can do that. And this just gives it a bit of colour. Okay, I'm going to drizzle with a little bit of mayo. And done. So poke bowl and poke bowl.